And with that, hello everybody. Welcome to Midnight Run here on the Inside Edge Network. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and unannounced, I'm popping up here on the TikTok as well. We're here with you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday nights, midnight to 1, right here on the Inside Edge Network. Got a lot to get into. My producer is Eli Moon. He'll join us throughout the broadcast. We are brought to you by Alley Rose Fragrances.com and also BA Sweeties. We got a lot to get to. Let's dive right in. Later in the show, go talk Malik Willis and the Cleveland Browns. Could that happen? Could that take place? There's some things in the way of that. But let's just say that time is of the essence for Todd Monken and for the Cleveland Browns. So we'll get into that coming up in just a little bit. Also, later in the show, my special edition of Dear Diary, AJ Styles retired today, officially retired. We'll talk a little bit about that. But I want to begin, and we'll also talk LeBron because we got word, Bill Simmons apparently came around to my thought that a retirement tour here in Cleveland probably is not going to happen. But where he could have his retirement tour, I don't think fans are going to be happy about it. And it won't be with the Lakers, but it's going to be with a team that doesn't have a good history with Cleveland. And I'll just say this, LeBron, if he goes to this team, is going to end as a bad guy like he was in Miami. So we'll talk about that probably about 10 or 15 minutes from right now. But again, thank you guys for joining us. We're going to start here locally. Again, for those watching on TikTok, you may not know that I am based here in Cleveland. So a lot of the show, you're going to get some Cleveland-based stories, but also some national stories on the sports side as well. And we start on the local side with the Cavaliers. If you woke up at 1:30 on a Sunday morning, number one, why did you not go to church? Number two, what was going on with your family situation that you slept in until 1:30 in the afternoon? And number three, you were probably wondering, how in the world was OKC up 28-5 within the first moments of the game? The first 6 minutes of Sunday afternoon's game, the Cavaliers had 9 turnovers in that contest. And you're just like, dude, come on. Are you serious right now? What is happening? Now, to the credit of the Cavs, they did work their way back in. They actually briefly in the third quarter took the lead from OKC. And there was a moment in the game, second and third quarter, you were sitting there, it's like, well, yeah, OKC's making three-pointers, but they're not really doing much else. And it's almost by a sheer bit of luck that they're hitting on these three-pointers and going from there. But this is different. This was obviously the first loss in the James Harden era. And the question comes back to a couple of guys. It comes back to Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley. Now, I'm not worried about Jarrett Allen. Jarrett Allen has shown me since James Harden has been here the formula for success, which is James Harden, the difference, and I talked about this with Eli and Robert Zicki on a Main Event last night. The difference, Darius Garland was more of an ISO-type point guard. So his possessions, basically he's going up the floor, but there's really no sense of urgency. Or if there was urgency, it's a little kind of reckless, to be honest. And I don't mean that in a bad way for the most part, but the ball was in his hands for the first 15 to 18 seconds of the shot clock when it was Darius Garland in play. As opposed to James Harden, who wants to get the ball down the floor quickly, find his big man in the paint, operate, and go. The pick and roll is right there. And that's where Jarrett Allen feasted. Jarrett Allen, in the previous game, since James Harden has been on this team, has been force-fed the ball early. And when you have Jared Allen, who obviously is not going to command the big man height space that the opposition brings, but he brings lower body muscle and forcefulness and speed that other big men can't guard. So if you get the ball to him early, within the first 5 to 10 seconds of the shot clock, like James Harden was doing in previous games, that's how Jared Allen has turned into beast mode. I mean, I'm watching these games with Jared Allen. I'm like, this dude is throwing the ball down. He's slam dunking. He's commanding the paint. He's establishing his presence. And it's easy to do so when you're getting the ball early, when your big guys can't get set defensively. So for Jared Allen, I think he's going to be fine. You saw what happened in the OKC game. When you didn't get him involved early into the ball game, forget about it. What, only 6 attempts? So it makes things very, very tricky. But I think Jared Allen is going to be in good shape. Evan Mobley is a different story. Evan Mobley's a different story. There was a different question I had about Evan Mobley earlier today that I kind of, I relaxed, I cooled down. Because the question I had about Evan Mobley earlier today was in the neighborhood of a B word that I don't want to introduce and I don't feel comfortable introducing in terms of Evan Mobley. But the fact is, his contract demands something a little bit different, right? You are expecting Evan Mobley to be one of your top scorers night in and night out. And at this point, on a consistent basis, it's not happening. And because I know what I'm going to get from Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is going to be able to create his shots. I know what I'm going to get from James Harden. James Harden is a playmaker who can also create his own shots. I know if you get Jared Allen involved, he can score down low on a consistent basis. Where does Evan Mobley fall into in place there? And I hate to say this, we don't have time to wait to figure out what we're going to do with Evan Mobley. We just don't have the time to figure this out with Evan Mobley. I have 3 guys in my starting lineup, legitimately 3 guys who I trust to score on a night in, night out basis if you plan it out correctly. And I'm including Jared Allen in there. I trust that Jared Allen is somebody who, if you get him involved early, on most nights, he's going to score. He's going to create points for you and create that additional offense that you need. I hate to say this because Evan Mobley is an important player and you're waiting for him to take off. You just don't have that kind of time and luxury to do so. And with this schedule with the Cavs, at this point, they're going to have the easiest schedule remaining in the Eastern Conference in the NBA. At this point, I'm looking at 3 guys who I know is going to make things happen. I don't know what you do with Evan Mobley. Do you find a way? Again, this is where James Harden comes in. Get him back established, Evan Mobley, in that paint. Get him underneath that basket. James Harden can lob it in to Mobley. He can do that. He can lob it in to Mobley and be fine and make it work. But come on now. We cannot wait for Evan Mobley to come along. The training wheels are off. Either he's going to come along or that's it. Curtain calls. Good night with Evan Mobley. The fact that this guy, who's supposedly a generational player in waiting, supposedly he is what? Only 2 rebounds on Monday or Sunday? 2 rebounds? I get it, you're facing Chet Holmgren, but 2 rebounds? and you're Evan freaking Mobley. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. And that should be alarming. Come on now. We need something more. We need more with Evan Mobley. And the coaching staff, Kenny Atkinson, has tried over the last couple of years that he's been here to get more Evan Mobley involvement. And sure, patience. I'm preaching. I'm going to use Eli's words here from the main event on Sunday. One game, patience. Make something work. We got 2 months to figure this out. But come on, figure this out. And I can't use the B word with Evan Mobley because defensively he didn't have a bad game on Sunday. Defensively, again, critical players missing from OKC, but Evan Mobley shows up defensively, except rebounding. It's like it's like a football player. It's like a receiver does everything right except catches touchdowns. Like that's what this is. So now is the time. Look, Jared Allen has come along with James Harden. Now it's the time for Evan Mobley to come along. Let me bring in my producer, Eli, here. Our TikTok audience is not going to see Eli, but you might hear him in the background. If you're watching on the Inside Edge Network, you see him. Eli Moon, host of Inside Edge Primetime, Midnight Run producer. And Eli, when you see Evan Mobley, it's not that he's bad. He's not a bad player. He's far from a bad player, Eli. But we need more. Please give us more if you're Evan Mobley.
Yeah, I mean, it's that or like I said yesterday on main event, I think they just need the Cavs need to run the offense more through Jared Allen. And I just was stressing on primetime, actually talking with Chad about how we really need to, the Cavs that being said, need to really get Jared Allen involved in the first quarter offensively, get 5 to 8 touches, let him get 4, 5, 6 shots up and let him get involved because clearly Evan Mobley, obviously, we want the offensive production that, 25, 26 points per game or whatever, 23, 24. It's just, I don't think that's necessarily his game. I think his game is he's going to find his opportunities to get his baskets and he's going to be defensively sound. And I think the Cavs need to pivot before gambling a season where they have Donovan Mitchell, James Harden. I think they need to just continue to get Jared Allen involved. I mean, Evan Mobley 1 for 4 from 3-point land yesterday, and 6 of 11, I believe, from the floor, which isn't bad. But I mean, overall, just you'd expect more if you're wanting the offensive production to come from Evan Mobley. But I don't think it has to necessarily, Double A. I think you can lean in towards the defensive side of Evan Mobley. And I think Jared Allen, you can really lean towards him being the number 3 option. I think it's just because he's a high draft pick, but you see the Cavs didn't mind getting off a high draft pick in Darius Garland this past few weeks. So I think that needs to kind of go out the window and just look at what's working, which is J.A. getting the ball.
Yeah, I think that's a huge point. Thanks, Eli. I think that's a huge point as well. Like you're talking about, this is not a cry for Evan Mobley to become the top scoring option for the Cavs. He doesn't have to be. Like I said before, Donovan Mitchell's there for a reason. James Harden now is there for a reason. And James Harden can complement Donovan. In fact, depending on matchups, depending on the nights, now you got a backcourt that matches in terms of size. So we're not asking for Evan Mobley to be the top scoring option. It may never happen where he's the top scoring option, but his job is to dominate inside the paint, and when he's called upon, stretch the floor, hit your 3-pointers if you're going to do that, which that wasn't consistent when we were deadlocked in that fourth quarter against OKC. And that's where that game became an issue. In terms of day-to-day, losing to Oklahoma City is not the biggest deal in terms of day-to-day. But if you're a Cavs fan, if you're looking around and if you're a Cavs fan trying to defend the reason why the Cavs are going to go further than what they have been doing, yesterday wasn't a good day to do it. Excuse me. It wasn't a good day to do it. Getting beat up in the paint, not being able to overcome adversity. Like, these are those type of things that anytime, like, oh man, that Cavs are on that 7-game win streak, which they were, you get one of those stinkers. And I don't want to hear about the scheduling, like, oh, it was a noon Central Time start. I get it, but if you're a good team, you play on national TV, you have to play games at 12 o'clock. It just has to happen. So it is what it is. You move on to the Knicks. We'll have that reaction tomorrow night. If Cavaliers show out against the Knicks, or as Charles Barkley said, the New York Dicks, if they show out against the Knicks tomorrow night, we'll talk about it and we'll have some fun. I hope they get that W. In fact, the Knicks looked impressive. That comeback. Well, I think they won the game. That come from behind victory against the Houston Rockets. Yes, they did on Saturday night. So let's see how they're looking tomorrow night. That game, I believe, on Peacock. We'll have that. All right, I want to shift gears. So last Wednesday, our debut edition of Midnight Run, which you can see the full production on the Inside Edge Network at Inside Edge Net on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We also have clips here on TikTok at Inside Edge Net. I mentioned that, excuse me, I didn't see a path where LeBron's retirement tour could happen here in Cleveland. I don't hate LeBron. I love LeBron. I would love for the LeBron retirement tour to happen. I just didn't see a path where it could happen for two reasons. If the Cavaliers actually go where they want to go, which is the NBA Finals, or even better, winning the championship, who would then go and say, hey, let's blow up our championship contending team just to get LeBron James for a season? Nobody will want that. Excuse me. On the flip side, if the Cavaliers fall short in the second round of the playoffs again, or the first round of the playoffs, if they fall short, would LeBron look at the Cavs and say, we have a good enough team to contend with the Cavs, or should we go somewhere else? So I said on Wednesday, as much LeBron flirting with Cleveland is essentially equal to somebody, a hot girl flirting with me. Okay, you could tease me all day, and I'm like, okay, I'm cool, everything like that. The hot girl ain't coming. Just forget about it. Just forget about it. You could talk 20 years, it ain't happening. Okay, same thing with LeBron in Cleveland. Just forget about it. Okay. Bill Simmons came around to my thought. Bill Simmons, the Bill Simmons podcast on The Ringer, he mentions that a return to Cleveland is unlikely, but I don't think you're going to like to hear where LeBron could finish his career. Take a listen.
I don't think LeBron goes to Cleveland next year. I don't see it. And here's why I don't see it. Because I think Cleveland's a team that could win the title this year or next year. I think they have a player that is one of the best 6 or 7, 8, 9, whatever you want to say, guys in the league who's never made the finals. And I think they're close, and they're going to re-sign Harden. And I think just being like, oh, by the way, we're going to add the LeBron farewell tour to this, it just doesn't pass the smell test to me. And I might be wrong, but I wanted to go on the record. I think it's going to be Golden State. That would be my bet. If you gave me the bet, and Cleveland will be the favorite, the Knicks will probably be the second favorite, Lakers will probably be in the top 3, and then there'll be a whole bunch of other teams. Golden State makes the most sense to me because they actually need him. And the narrative of, I'm going to finish my career with Steph Curry, the other great player of my generation. We won Olympic gold medals together. The team kind of needs me. So it's a farewell tour combined with the team needs me. I'm going to play with Draymond, Steve Kerr, who's coached me, and this is where I'm going to end it. Makes more sense to me than I'm just going to be awkwardly shoehorned into this team that had a chance to win a title, who has a best guy in the league candidacy, at least from the guard position, just doesn't add up to me.
All right. I had to show that to our TikTok audience there, but that was Bill Simmons of the Bill Simmons podcast. I agree with everything he said in terms of the Cleveland aspect of things, where basically LeBron would be shoehorned into this situation. The Golden State part. This is the part where if it happens, and I'm not saying from a basketball standpoint, it doesn't make sense. From a basketball standpoint, okay, fine, right? It is a fit. I'm not going to deny that. It is a fit for Golden State. We're not talking about Golden State at this moment being championship contenders. We would if LeBron joined the Warriors. Excuse me. But this is an illustration of what we call losing the plot. Losing the plot. Imagine this. LeBron James, if he went to Golden State, he would equal a guy trying to play, to use a wrestling term, a babyface and a heel at the same time. He's almost flip-flopping like Big Show used to flip-flop back in the day between heel and face. You want to talk about, I hate to say this, I really do, because again, I love LeBron. You want to talk about your legacy being very much in question if you finish your career at Golden State. To play with Stephen Curry, to play with Draymond Green, to play with Steve Kerr, to play for Steve Kerr. After all those battles, all of a sudden, we call that breaking the fourth wall. Rivalries wouldn't matter. Who cares? And this is more of a Cleveland sports fan standpoint. This is not speaking on terms of like Akron, Ohio, where, born and raised in Akron, Ohio, LeBron could kiss babies and be perfectly fine. I'm talking about Cleveland sports in general. You want to talk about a slap in the face? Like beforehand, when he made the decision to go to South Beach, it was like that pew, pew, like boom. Right? This would be like that pimp hand. Doesn't make sense. I wouldn't. That can't happen. That can't happen. Let me get Eli back in the screen because I think we have some comments. I didn't even break open the comments here. What we got, Eli?
Yeah, we have from the Side Hustle Podcast 216. I imagine this would be from Kyle, but he says LeBron to Cleveland makes a lot of sense. They need wings still, and he's a free agent next year and will sell rights to his farewell tour. He'll play for vet min or mid-level deal. Double A, your thoughts?
I hope he's right. I do. From a basketball standpoint, it does make sense. I'm just envisioning where our minds will be come May in June, where one or two outlooks are going to be in play. We're going to be in the finals. And it doesn't matter if we win the finals or not. If we're in the finals, there are going to be a lot of fans, a lot of players. Dan Gilbert, they're not going to want to blow this team up. They're not going to want to add another component. If they feel like Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, Sam Merrill, Jalen Tyson, if they feel like these guys are close, they do not want to mess up with the chemistry by bringing in LeBron. I'm just saying I'm just forecasting where our minds are going to become May and June. And then vice versa. Well, if we do fall short in April or May, will LeBron want to come here? And I think that answer would change. I don't. That's what I'm thinking right now, Eli. I don't. Am I off base with where my mind is gearing towards right now?
I mean, I think there would be a lot of expectation. We've seen 2 LeBron runs here in Cleveland, so I think at this point, the expectations are known. But I think just depending on how the Cavs finish out this year, if they have a good run and they have an Eastern Conference Finals fall against whoever, Boston, New York, whatever, and you have Dan Gilbert, you have Kobe Altman looking, and LeBron's available for an opportunity that he's not going to sign a big max deal. He'll sign something where it's not going to break the Cavs' pockets, and I could see it happening. Double A, I could, just because he is winding down in the end of his career. We at least tend to think, he's 20 something, seasons in, 22 seasons in. So you look at that, and then you look at what this Cavs season, this Cavs roster kind of is missing, which is a wing for this first unit. They like Jalen Tyson, but clearly not enough right now to put him in that starting unit. That's why they're still rocking with Dean Wade, and kind of going with a larger front court. But I think LeBron, you put him with Harden, you put him with Donovan, I think you're just gonna have chemistry, you're gonna have a vibe, and I think that's something that you definitely can't pass up. So I think it could be more possible than you're making it seem. Double A. That's at least my take.
And I'll just say this: I don't hate it. Right? If LeBron is here next year, I'm cool with it. I am not one of those guys that is a LeBron hater or anything like that. I would be cool with it. And I think all the reasons that you mentioned and Kyle mentioned is true. And our TikTok audience is mentioning, like, that's true. I'm just trying to think of where our minds would be. Oh, man, we're over. We got to take a break. When we come back here on Midnight Run, again, with you until 1, Malik Willis. Been here and talk about him with the Cleveland Browns. Could that happen? Well, there's one major hurdle that's in the way. But when we come back, we're going to play some sound from Todd Monken from a couple weeks ago that might give away the idea of maybe he's not sold on anyone that's in the QB room currently with the Cleveland Browns. And I may say pump the brakes on that just a little bit. And also later in the show, our Dear Diary segment, and a very important wrestling figure put up his boots, hanged them up. AJ Styles. We have a Dear Diary segment towards AJ Styles a little bit later in the show. Remember, especially if you're here in the Cleveland area, you got to go to BA Sweeties. Our show, Midnight Run, sponsored by BA Sweeties, of course, partnership with Kyle and I in the Side Hustle Wrestling Podcast, the largest candy store in North America, over 75 years of business. BA Sweeties, when you walk in the store, it smells like candy. I mean, it is probably one of the best smelling stores you will find. And it's a large candy store, and it doesn't feel like you're just – you can do sprints and stuff, but there's going to be a lot of people there getting current, classic treats. You get your regular treats. And also, my favorite, you got to get the pops, the sodas out of the glass bottles. Folks, there is a difference. When you get the bottle, you get the Cokes and the Pepsis and stuff, the cream sodas out of the glass bottles, as opposed to just regular canned soda. There is a difference. Interstate 480, the Ridge Road exit. Make a left on Brook Park Road. You'll see a giant lollipop. That's where you go in. And when you are checking out, right, mention to the clerk, lollipop. And if you say the word lollipop, you'll get a discount on your order. You got to mention that. And let them know. Hey, Double A, Kyle Cornell, Side Hustle Wrestling Podcast. We sent you to BA Sweeties here in Cleveland. And it's a popular destination, too. If you're not from Cleveland, you're traveling to Cleveland, make your way to BA Sweeties. You can check out their stuff at sweetiescandies.com as well. But BA Sweeties, got to check them out. More of Midnight Run with me, Double A Anthony Alford, in just a moment.
This is Midnight Run on the Inside Edge Network. Here's your host, Anthony Alford. This is Midnight Run on the Inside Edge Network. Here's your host, Anthony Alford.
And we are back. Welcome back. Midnight Run here on the Inside Edge Network. Again, follow us on all socials at Inside Edge Net. That's YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. One of these days we'll be on Twitch. That's the only thing we're not on is Twitch. But maybe we'll get on Twitch. We are looking for more programming too. So if you're a video game expert, let me know. We might get something going there with that. I'm talking like current games and retro games too. I have a Nintendo 64 just chilling over there on the other side. This is chilling. So right there, my Banjo-Tooie video game is there. I do have, man, I'm so behind the times with video games. And you know why? And we'll get to Malik Willis here in just a second. I'm behind the times on video games because I'm deciding whether or not I should pay off my student loans or save up for GTA 6. I don't know which one is which one will be a bigger priority to save up for. I know there's an obvious answer. I get that, but come on now. I think, what was it? The president of Microsoft, of Xbox, said that the new console, the new video game console, the new Xbox, whatever they're going to call it, is going to cost $1,000. I'm like, are you kidding me? $1,000. There are video game quality apps on your phone that you can play games for free. You just got to watch the ads. But you got to spend $1,000 on a system, and then GTA 6, whenever that comes out, probably when I have grandchildren, that's going to be worth $100. Like, you got to work a third job basically to afford video games these days. Meanwhile, Madden hasn't updated their gameplay or graphics in 20 years. It's 2026, and ESPN NFL 2K5 is still one of the greatest NFL video games of all time. Still. I'm just amazed. Supposedly we've made all these advancements with video games and stuff, but yet the classics still remain. It's still there. 2K was phenomenal with football games. And EA Sports just said, the hell with it. Forget about it. I don't understand it. Eli, we have another comment. I don't even think Eli was ready. Yeah. He's just our buddy Omar. I got to talk to Omar about that, about the 360. Because, yeah, man. Come on now. Is there a reason why Madden? So one of the modes that ESPN NFL 2K5 had was first person. You could literally, you're playing the football game. You could play at any skill position, any position on the field in first person mode. It's 2026, and you can't do that with Madden. You can't. It blows my mind that you can't do that. I mean, I'm not saying 2K is perfect with everything. I mean, 2K has destroyed WWE video games. I mean, the more and more trailers I have seen from the new 2K26 with WWE, I mean, the Trick Williams is the hottest thing in pro wrestling right now. And they're destroying his music, destroying his entrance. It should be whoop that trick. Instead, they're saying whoop da trick daddy. That's what it is. It's unbelievable. It's just terrible. All right, back to the show here. Again, with you until 1:00. Malik Willis, Cleveland Browns. Could it happen? Could it be? We got two clips for you. I want to first go to the Rich Eisen show and Ben Solak. If you look at the free agency class with quarterbacks this year, it is not strong at all. There are no groundbreaking quarterbacks in the market. There's none of that. And then on top of that, there's no, other than Fernando Mendoza, there's no game-changing, must-have quarterbacks in the draft. Excuse me. So supposedly, you could be stuck with Shedeur Sanders or Deshaun Watson or Dylan Gabriel. That could be your options. But lately, the hot name on the streets has been Malik Willis, the backup quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, who is now going to be entering the free agency period. Let's hear Ben Solak on the Rich Eisen show earlier today about his free agency status and where he could be going.
Say, I will, instead of drafting a kid, I'd rather take a flyer and see if he's my next one or a bridge quarterback even. Like, who's going to do that?
So I think the Jets, we know that Aaron Glenn likes mobile quarterbacks. They have Justin Fields there on like their veteran deal. I think you can sign Malik Willis for roughly the same deal, probably a little bit more. The Jets, the Browns to me are a team where Todd Monken just worked with Lamar Jackson. That's a very copy and paste offense in terms of stylistically how Willis plays and how Lamar plays. Arizona is the other team. Monty Ossenford, general manager there, was in Tennessee when Malik Willis was drafted by the Titans. So I think those three teams are going to be aggressively in on Willis, along with the Dolphins. Like I said, that Packers familiarity. And I just don't think the Dolphins have the cap to last in a bidding war if that's what this gets for Willis. And like, I don't think Willis is going to get insanely overpaid, but it is not a year to walk into the draft with a quarterback need. I can't stress that enough. And so I think Willis, if I had to go between, there's that Justin Fields deal at $20 million per year, and then the next highest deal is Baker at $30 million. Excuse me. There's like a $10 million gap between those two deals. I think he's going to land somewhere in there, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's closer to the Baker deal. And so those are the teams to me that go in on Willis. And then if you can't get that done, and you're sitting there and you don't have draft capital to move on from because you're a rebuilding team, then you have to be looking at these younger quarterback twos as your bridges into 2027 and a much better quarterback class.
So you're talking about bridges, right? So I think that's interesting. A few things that's interesting there. Ben Solak of the Rich Eisen show. Miami was one of the options, but Cleveland, one of the options. Now, been hearing about this throughout the day, throughout these last couple of days. And honestly, I wasn't even going to bring this up. Not to say that Malik Willis isn't a good player. He's a great player. He's a great player. And if you ask, is he in that list of 32 best quarterbacks in the NFL? If you just stripped everything away, who are the 32 best quarterbacks in the NFL? I would put Malik Willis in that top 32. I would put him there. I would. But I'm a little bit higher on Shedeur Sanders probably than most. I actually think Eli and I are on the same page. Like Shedeur Sanders, I don't know about you guys. I think Shedeur Sanders, if things work out the right way, I think he has all the tools to be a franchise quarterback. But many disagree. And I acknowledge that. Fine. Disagreement. Okay. Shedeur Sanders wasn't an all-pro. I'm not going to defend him like Skip Bayless defended Tim Tebow. I'm not going to do that. So I get it. I'll listen to it. But I had to go back and listen to, as I was doing more research and more prep for this, when Todd Monken was introduced and he had his opening press conference and, he talked about basically the state of the team and what he saw, with the team and stuff. And a lot of it was vague. A lot of it like, oh, I'm excited. I'm locked in, ready to go and get to work. There was a clip that I came across that he recorded, I think that day. And it was with Channel 19. Ashley Holder of Channel 19 interviewed Todd Monken. And it was about the status of the QB room and what he saw. And his answer, his response, and his tone about the Browns QB room kind of, to me, opens the door for Malik Willis to possibly come here. And I'll explain why on the other side. Let's take a look at this clip. This is Todd Monken with WOIO here, Channel 19 here in Cleveland, talking about the QB room with the Browns.
We saw a fun interaction between you and Shedeur Sanders last week, and we got a little bit of a sample size of Shedeur and Dillon Gabriel. What excites you most of working with those two young quarterbacks as well as the rest of the quarterbacks room?
Well, I think you've got two young players that still have a long way to go in terms of development, and that's part of the learning curve in the NFL. And then you've got a player like Deshaun who's coming back from injury and at one time was a Pro Bowl player and an elite player in this league. That we would love to tap back into that, let alone with Dillon and Shedeur. I mean, I'm excited. I'm ready to get going.
So, again, that was courtesy of Channel 19. The key points, the Deshaun stuff's a wash, whatever with that. But you have two young quarterbacks who still have a long way to go. And this is why him saying this is very important in the context of this conversation. Fair or unfair? Todd Monken, this is a one-year audition for Todd Monken. In a perfect world, Todd Monken would have 2, 3, maybe 4 years to right the ship and get this thing right, get this thing going. Knowing that 2027, you're going to have a loaded quarterback class going into the draft. Knowing that 2027, you could probably clear Deshaun Watson. Like, that's the time where you could clear the books with Deshaun Watson, with the contract situation, everything going on there. And based on, as we have addressed here on the Inside Edge Network throughout the football season, especially the immediate aftermath of the offseason, when you have 11 head coaches, or it was either 11 or 12 head coaches replaced. Every single head coach, except Seattle, because they just won the Super Bowl, every single head coach is on the hot seat. Fair or unfair. Every coach is on the hot seat. And Todd Monken is speaking as a guy who is 60 years old, first NFL head coaching job. He has to go all in. And Andrew Berry, who kept his job despite having horrendous drafts except for last year. That's what saved them, was last year's draft. But you got a general manager and a head coach who both know they're on the hot seat, and whatever moves they have to make, they can't worry about 2027. So this tells me, on top of what Solek said about Miami and the cap, or in the cap situation, because I would say if it wasn't for the contract situation or the cap situation, Miami would be the favorite to land Malik Willis. But I think Cleveland could be the spot. Now, there's a couple hurdles. Number one, Malik Willis shares the same agent as Deshaun Watson. That's a hurdle. So do you want two of your clients competing for the same job? That's a hard sell. So that is very understandable. But again, I will mention, if you bring in Malik Willis, you're not bringing him in just to compete. He's your starting quarterback. And Shedeur Sanders, and this is not a Shedeur Sanders himself thing. This is a Shedeur Sanders fandom type of situation. If you bring in Malik Willis, you're saying Shedeur Sanders is not your starter. He can't be your backup because that's too much noise from the backup position. And you would have to trade him. You would have to find a way to trade him. So if you're saying, gun to my head, is this thing going to happen? It might be unlikely, but I'll just say this: Todd Monken, Andrew Berry, they are both desperate. They know they're on the hot seat, and they don't have any time to waste. They just don't. So we'll keep an eye on what's going on with this situation. I will advocate for the Browns, a team that might have to replace their entire offensive line. That's the other key storyline with this offseason, which we'll talk more about in the coming days. But you could always draft a quarterback later in the draft. We have a show here on the network, Inside Edge Network, called the Commissioner's Podcast, or the Commissioner's Couch podcast. David Calhoun, Ryan Mosser, they do a great job. They're breaking down all of the rookie class with the draft from a fantasy football angle and where things are going to go. That's a good show to watch. But from a quarterback standpoint, it's going to get a little tricky. All right. 2 segments down, 1 to go. When we come back, our Dear Diary segment, AJ Styles retiring. He just retired. As of today, we got a special Dear Diary. When we come back, remember, AlleyRoseFragrances.com. AlleyRoseFragrances.com. If you want your home to smell good. Flat out, you want your home to smell good. You want it to smell phenomenal. AlleyRoseFragrances.com. My friend, my coworker, Allison, she runs it. She's been running the small business. She makes these candles for a year now. This company has been alive and well, ready to go. So AlleyRoseFragrances.com. A lot of great candles, a lot of great smelling candles. And the cool thing is, compared to the competitors that are going to overcharge you and everything like that, longer burn time. You buy a candle, you light it up, it's going to last a lot longer than your competition. Remember, go to AlleyRoseFragrances.com. Use the promo code InsideEdge20. InsideEdge20. You get 20% off your order. So make sure you take care of business and handle that. AlleyRoseFragrances.com. Anthony Alford here with you, Dear Diary. When we come back, final segment of Midnight Run right after this.
This is Midnight Run on the Inside Edge Network. Here's your host, Anthony Alford.
Kyle mentioned during the break, it's like, where's the unhinged part? Unhinged is, I'll tell you this. If we did this show as a post game right after that Cavs OKC game, bruh, when the Cavs were getting their behinds kicked, I was on the treadmill. You know, Kyle Brandt does the angry runs. I was every score. When we were down 25-5, whatever it was, OKC, I think, opened that game was 9-0. It's like, okay, this is going to make threes. We're going to go back to how we've been playing. It was a joke. All right, final segment. Again, join us tomorrow. Again, we're with you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays at midnight. We'll even be on Wednesday. I'm doing a basketball game Wednesday at Perry High School. I'm in Lake County. But later on that day, we're still going to do Midnight Run. So you want unhinged, it's going to be, we're going to do something there. But tomorrow, we're going to react to Cavs and Knicks. I do want to get into this basketball Winter Olympics thing and then a few other things we'll get into as well. That's coming up tomorrow at midnight on Midnight Run. AJ Styles retired today. That's our Dear Diary. Dear Diary. And yes, I don't care. I'm a man. I write a diary here. AJ, thank you for your 25 plus years of service to the wrestling community. Starting all the way, not at TNA, but WCW. Starting at WCW as one of the young cats. Who knew that the new Millennium pay-per-view that never happened at World Championship Wrestling, you could have been a WCW World Heavyweight Champion. But instead of holding the title that David Arquette once held, you went on to become a TNA original. And boy, you had a run there. From defining what the X Division was and what we know the X Division to be, to the classic Ultimate X matches, but the one we talk about in 2005 with you, Christopher Daniels, and Samoa Joe, that really defined what wrestling could be to a generation like myself as a millennial. Doing all that you did in TNA, Kurt Angle, all those battles, Abyss, all those guys. And then after TNA, going on to Japan with the Good Brothers, or some may call them the Bullet Club, doing those things there, handling business. And then it was the Royal Rumble 2016, where you finally came into WWE. You built SmackDown. SmackDown Live was your house. It was the house that AJ Styles built. All those times that you, what does it say here? Beat up John Cena in all caps. The memorable feud, and we got the match with you and Shinsuke Nakamura. You beat Jinder Mahal. Boy, we needed that in 2017. You beat Jinder Mahal to win the WWE Championship. The memorable match with The Undertaker at WrestleMania, the pandemic WrestleMania, all the things that you have done. AJ Styles, thank you for being you. And honestly, thank you for not letting the machine change who you are. AJ Styles, you've been an absolute beast for 25 plus years. And congratulations on your retirement. AJ Styles, we're going to talk more extensively, Kyle and I, on a Side Hustle Wrestling podcast on Friday morning. We'll talk a little bit more extensively about AJ Styles. But AJ Styles, you want to talk about somebody who puts out. He's in his late 40s. He's still putting out wrestling clinics. Amazing run for AJ Styles. If you don't know already, I'm going to talk wrestling at times on this show. I do co-host the Side Hustle Wrestling podcast with Kyle, where we spend at least an hour or so talking wrestling. So we do have that going there. So definitely check that out. But AJ Styles handling business there. So Eli, as we close the show, I know obviously you're a wrestling guy as well. AJ Styles, the Gunther thing, that's a whole nother situation, but
yeah,
whatever. But AJ Styles, what a run he has had.
Yeah, he's one of the coolest wrestlers. I feel like that, like, I don't know, somebody could like be a fan of. I mean, he was a high flyer, but he also had like charisma, and he was the ultimate good guy, and then he was the ultimate bad guy. You mentioned his run with TNA being, with the phenomenal one, and having, you could tell with his different theme songs it was a different AJ Styles. But you get the Bullet Club and the ultimate heel turn, and like him rocking out there. The John Cena feud. Yeah, one of my favorites of all time. And you wanted to believe that maybe it wasn't done when he didn't take the gloves off, when he kept them, in the ring after the Royal Rumble, or he kept them on his hands instead of in the ring after the Royal Rumble. But nope, this is it. And yeah, man, pretty cool. Pretty cool to think. Who would have thought 20 years ago if you would have told us AJ Styles would be in the WWE Hall of Fame? I mean, who would have thought that? So
the funniest thing, the funniest thing. Is that with AJ Styles, you just think like, man. He didn't change. He didn't really change at all. Like, you think of all those other guys who've had to come in and Vince McMahon would change them, or like, oh, you got to be a new identity, you got to be a new guy. He was the one guy who was able to come over and still be his own man and continue his story and not have to change a thing.
Yeah.
It's huge. That is huge. All right. Well, we're out of time. We're done with the show. Again, tomorrow we're going to react to Knicks and Cavaliers. We got other crazy stuff going on in sports and other things. There was one other topic I wanted to get to that we just didn't have time for. How couples meet. The statistics there are crazy. We'll talk about that tomorrow night on Midnight Run. But thank you guys for joining us. Again, you can follow me at Anthony Alford 92 on Twitter. Thank you to our TikTok audience. If you're watching on TikTok, follow the Inside Edge Network at Inside Edge Net. Thank you to Eli for producing the show tonight, staying up late. Thank you to my neighbors for not knocking on the door and saying, shut this thing down. One of these days is going to happen, and then we'll be canceled. So, all right, we're done. For everybody here, thank you all for tuning in, and have a good night, and talk to somebody about Jesus. You'll be better off for it. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.